All right, everyone. So we got Penny on for part three. Penny, let's get to it. We left off with Pine Gap.
Okay, Pine Gap was
You want to share your screen?
I that's the one I didn't bring up. So let me pull that up and then I'll share the screen.
Well, just for continuity, is there anything left about Pine Gap you'd like to talk about? That's all. I just don't ever want to.
Pine Gap, as a reminder, was a joint NSA Australian Five Eyes operation that was built on top of an Anunnaki base that was owned by Marduk. And it was originally a signals intelligence base where they tapped into the phone lines that went to Asia, and they've since included Africa in their tapping. But it's the wired phone lines, it's internet, the Internet of Things, it's cell phones. All of that goes through Pine Gap. And the agent who activated my memories of the Black Ops had worked there. He was an American. Now, a lot of people think he was Russian because he was on the Russian desk. No, he was an American. His father had been an American Baptist missionary in the Philippines. So when he learned Russian at the Defense Language School, the one in Monterey, he already spoke American English, Tagalog, and two tribal languages.
Well, do we have a tab open for Pine Gap at all, or
No.
just we talk about it? No. Okay.
Okay, so that was all that we needed to know, was that I had some personal information about Pine Gap because I knew this agent and he had been there and he had photographs of being there. So,
Well, let's move on to Carlisle Group then, if you want to share.
okay, let me make sure the Carlisle group is up. You asked me about the Carlisle group,
I've
and
just heard about it. In Infowars they talk about it, and they're saying watch out. I think his name is Glenn Youngkin of the governor of Virginia. Like, oh, he's Republican, but he was a Carlisle guy or something. I think I remember hearing that, and I just take notes.
okay, the Carlisle group, and it doesn't come up real pretty on my, um, it doesn't come up very pretty on my, where
A
am I?
global investment firm. What vague languages?
It's a global investment firm. Yes, it's our businesses, global private equity, global credit, and Carlisle Alp Invest, global wealth.
Oh, that's good.
And they have okay. This is a private site only to financial and is not okay. I'm not going to go there. I'm going to go back because I'm not one of those people.
CAPM.
CAPM, I don't know what those are.
Oh, Carlisle out.
Carlisle Alp Invest Private Markets Fund. Now, our economy is set up where we have investment companies that work with individuals. Okay. And those investment companies buy into large companies. And those large companies are investment companies. That's all they
Like
do.
Coca-Cola, all this blue chip stuff, right? I mean, and they try and
We're
control, they
we're
hold it hostage,
talking
right? With a
car
social goal like DEI instead of making a better, more efficient
no,
product.
you're missing the point.
Okay.
Their point is they want to own the world. Carlyle Group is one of them. BlackRock is another one, and they're well on their way to owning the world.
I see that.
They buy shares in each other.
cross holdings like in Vanguard, and Vanguard does not tell you its member. It keeps it quiet.
All of these keep their members quiet. Like we went to this place for global wealth and it asked us to state that we were professionals because this was not information for the general public. Now you can go to that and you can lie to them and find out what they're hiding. I have to live with my internet history, so I have enough people mad at me already. All of these major investment companies, Vanguard, BlackRock, Carlyle.
Fidelity, State Street, Blackstone.
Yes, all of these people also have security details. So if you are coming to their site and you are digging through, you might expect a visit. Now let's see what they say under our impact. Diversity and inclusion
Oh
and
God.
sustainability.
There you go. There's their buzzwords.
There's their buzzwords. You got to remember these people are part of the World Economic Forum, which is why I told you that I had their site open on
Okay,
this.
now am I correct in saying diversity simply means anti-white? Whites are known to resist tyranny in history.
No,
No, okay, what is it? What is it then?
what is it is an attempt to include everyone that was excluded by white supremacy and the patriarchy.
It sounds very liberal. Are you being serious? I mean,
I'm serious. This is their goal, is to include the rest of us. Now, you're too young to remember. I grew up during the time frame when even white women were the property of their husband or their father. I grew up then. Things have changed tremendously in my lifetime. It used to be okay for people to gang up and kill people of color. They were never found, ever. That has changed. All people are now considered human beings. And that was not true when I was a child. So you think it may be liberal, but in some ways it's a great step forward that everybody's human now.
well, if we take it at face value, yes, but aren't they there to dehumanize us and come up with schemes about carbon and global social credit scores and stuff like that? That's all. I just
What you're doing is listening to another set of propaganda. You've got two teams going here, and their goal is to set us all against each other and create a new civil war. So you've rejected one side, but you've embraced the other.
well, I'm trying to learn.
And the truth is in the middle because they don't want you to get along. Okay? The goal of the Malthusians, and all of these groups are Malthusians, okay? The goal is to get the population down to 500 million people worldwide. Now that's why I picked the people I did today to talk about today, is because they are all part of this agenda. And they have split into teams. One team is dividing people by race, ethnicity, gender. Another team is dividing people by religion. Another team is dividing people by they're going to be excluded. And everybody's getting polarized because we've stopped listening to each other. We've stopped listening to the same news programs. We do not go to source materials to know what people actually said. We only hear the 15-second soundbite that they put on the news that they play around the clock on YouTube. That's it.
Well, I just do Alex and Steve Bannon, and so I mean I could
That's putting you in a box. Okay, I have made a serious effort to listen to people from all sides. I told you before, I subscribe to Foreign Policy, the mouthpiece of the Council on Foreign Relations. That gives you what the plan is, because they're talking to their own there. And then you take their admitted plan and you look at how the news media spins it one direction, Alex and friends spin it another.
Alex and Friends. I like that. Sanford and Son, Alex and Friends. No, you're right. Is
And
there?
what you end up doing is you're in an echo box and you never listen to anybody else, and you have no idea why they're doing what they're doing. Why it makes sense to these other people to follow that path. If you were locked out of jobs, when I got married in 1974, I could not rent an apartment by myself. I could not get the utilities turned on. My husband had to. I could not get a bank account
No,
without
no, no.
his
I'm picking
signature.
up what you're laying down, Penny. No, no. Okay, I understand.
This is what real diversity and inclusion was supposed to be, was making us all people instead of property.
Well, can we see? Did they show their corporate board like they did with the Trilateral Commission? Can we look at the people that? Is there an
Let
Carlisle
me
available?
see. Shareholder, where are they? Our businesses? I don't know where that would be. It may be on the other one. I'll have to,
Is our firm all the way to the left by CA? Our firm, one tab over.
just a minute.
You have our businesses, and then to the left of it is our firm. Go
Okay, I
up, yeah,
couldn't see that
maybe.
because it was overlapping. Phishing and fraud, transparency and
So
reporting.
hover over our firm. Just hover over it.
It it doesn't, it
Oh,
just gives
okay.
this our
Forget.
cookies, insights, our impact. You know, if I could see this without all the lines across it, it would help. But
Yeah,
this
it's
is the
not
way it's
formatted
coming up
properly.
on my, so I'm gonna go to the other link. Okay, I have to stop share to be able to do it.
Sure, it's fine.
Okay. This one is a different company and it's talking about what they own. It's an analysis group and it's talking about the Carlyle Group Inc. portfolio holdings. These are the basic stats, and I need to move us out of the way. Portfolio value is almost $4 billion. Current positions, 23. Late has disclosed 23 total holdings in their latest SEC filings. Actual assets under management is this value plus cash, which is not disclosed. Standard Arrow, Soleno Therapeutics, WeRide Inc., which is a depository receipt. Fathom Pharmaceuticals, which I've never heard of. Pony AI Inc., depository receipt. And industrial and commercial machinery and computer equipment, oil and gas extraction depository institutions. And these are their value over the last, well, it was reported for last year.
All I did was oil and gas for 11 years, produced oil.
Okay. Okay, the top increases for this quarter, and that would be now, are Standard Aero, Soleno Therapeutics, Invitation Homes, We Ride Inc., Smart Share Global Limited,
Cube Smart, they're all over.
CubeSmart. Yeah, they're all over the place because they hold these for their value, and they will sell them if they lose money. Um,
Krispy Kreme, Peanut. All right.
Top decreases this quarter. These are the ones that are losing money. Jasper Therapeutics, Pony AI Inc., Getty Images.
Like the Getty family. Yeah, Getty. Is
Yeah,
that?
like the Getty Museum stuff.
Yes, I've been there.
The
2001.
Getty Images is one of the places that people are getting photos for websites, and when you have an article and you want a random photograph, Getty Images is one of the places where you can buy it and have a license to use it for whatever you want. They also hold Fathom Pharmaceuticals, Q32 Bio Inc. I have no idea what that is. Krispy Kreme,
Yeah.
Secor,
Yeah, we would use them offshore and stuff. Anyway, um,
Forward Air Corporations, OnCure Therapeutics, Hillvax. Yeah, a vaccine company. And this is a list of 13D and 13G filings made in the last year, and I do not know.
yeah, no, that's fine. We can move on to BlackRock. This is getting really in the weeds.
Yeah, we're getting in the weeds here. That's a good way of putting it. So let me move this over, stop the share.
Larry Fink.
Huh?
Larry Fink at BlackRock. Let's go check him out. I hear he's the guy over the New York Fed, and that's where he gets all his money from, is the New York Fed.
That's possible. I would not know for sure. I know that
Why come to you to seek?
The New York Fed is the real bank that the Federal Reserve uses. This is the BlackRock site for individuals. And if you want to go to a investment strategies or any of that, you have to update to pass their security. And this is probably a Getty image. That's the way they operate.
Well, it's like they're
Explore
starting the Internet of Things. Like, I mean,
The Internet of Things has been a thing for at least 20 years.
the Pentagon has its own version, huh? Of everything. They capture, they scrape all this to
Hmm.
have its own version.
Hmm. Anything that goes out on Wi-Fi is picked up by the NSA and goes to Ogden, Utah.
Ogden, Utah.
Ogden, Utah. It's not actually in city of Ogden, but it's nearby. Everybody calls it Ogden. But it's where they have this massive computer where they store all of it. And gee, they keep having fires because it overheats.
Is fires cover for something?
Fires is because it's overheating and they're
Oh, legitimate, like incompetent.
legitimate fires.
Okay, okay, okay.
The servers there are catching fire because there's so much usage and they're not cooling them properly. But this is where they store your metadata and everything else. It's not just metadata, it's everything. And that was one of the things that Edward Snowden revealed to us
Vaults.
why the government doesn't want to talk about him. He's escaped to Russia. He has now taken Russian citizenship because he's not safe anywhere else. And they took his passport. He was literally trapped in the Moscow airport. And Putin gave him amnesty and a place to live. So these are the things,
While we're
municipal.
at it, real quick, that name to me is synonymous with Julian Assange. Can you expound on him real quick before we dive into BlackRock?
Julian Assange is an interesting character. He was born into the Children of God cult and was sexually trafficked as a child.
Oh, okay. Did not know this.
I know several people from this cult. One of them is a very good friend of mine, and no, I won't name her. But they trafficked their own kids, and it was one of the most god awful horrible things. They also did a breeding project where almost half of their kids turned out with that same coloring that Assange has, the kind of golden skin
Oh,
and very,
yes.
very light hair.
You say breeding projects, that immediately makes me think of Zorro Ranch, New Mexico, Epstein. What do you know anything about that? Can you tell me what goes on over
I
there?
don't know about that one. I know that Epstein was a Mossad agent, and these were honeypots so that he could blackmail American and other politicians and top people. This was a blackmail program, and that's why none of these people have been released because the CIA is using his tapes, etc., to blackmail them themselves. So yes, that's the way the world operates. You do not have politicians that are not blackmailable. I've mentioned that before. Okay, they're not going into a lot of detail here. They
Well,
have
let's just look at
go,
all the people on their board real quick, and then we'll move on to the next
let's
tab.
see if I can find their board. Uh, might be under About Us. Uh,
About BlackRock.
uh, asset manager and one of the world's leading providers of investment advisory and risk management solutions. We're fiduciary to our clients, and by investing on their behalf, we help millions of hardworking Americans experience financial well being. Scams and fraud, read How to Protect Yourself. Yeah, don't invest with those people. Sorry. Recognized by Fortune magazine, one of the world's most admired companies for the 12th consecutive year, ranking first in the securities and asset management industry. BlackRock and the Crown Corporation, between them, own most of the planet.
Wait, Crown Corporation. Hold on. Is that the same people putting up those big trees that look like Wi-Fi?
I
Oh,
don't
wait.
know what they're doing. The Crown Corporation, people think it belongs to the British Crown. It actually belongs to the old royals that the British Crown are fronting for.
Okay. What is the last name, or what's the?
There's not a last name. That's what
They're
everybody
all
keeps getting
okay.
wrong. There is not a last name. They are the family.
Where's Crown Corporation headquartered out of? Can you tell me about Crown Corporation?
City of London in England.
The City of London, yeah.
The City of London. Not London proper, not London metropolitan. The City of London. I think it's a mile square or something like that. It's their equivalent of Washington District of Columbia. It's their equivalent of the Vatican in Rome. The Vatican handles religion. The City of London handles finance along with the New York Fed, and Washington, D.C. handles the military. There are maybe 1,000 surnames involved with the family, and most of the people with those surnames are not involved at all. Have no idea what you would be
Well,
talking about.
BlackRock's not giving you anything. Let's go to InQtel. That I hear is a CIA front company or something, or you mind telling me about that?
It's okay. Stop share. InQtel is another one of these investment companies. And they're not giving a lot of information either. It is pretty. they show science. Pretty pictures in a repeating video with military folks. Yeah, they're
Oh, the 3D
investing in
printed cement, all that. Yeah, how they're built. Yeah. Well, what would you like to tell people about In-Q-Tel then? Or what
that
should
all of these are folks who are okay, you're going to law school. How far can I go without ending up in jail for slander?
it depends how good their counsel is, really. If you, I hate giving a no answer. I know it's so.
Okay, so that's kind of where I am.
Go,
I
go
have
there. I'll catch the heat. It's going on my channel.
they will come after me too. Um,
Okay.
my impression of these people, and for legal purposes, it may not be correct. Okay?
Okay.
All of these investment companies are money laundering means.
Thank you for the satisfaction.
They take the money of common folks, they invest it in things, and then suddenly the market drops and all those common folks lose all their money. Funny, the rich folks don't. This has been a lifetime of watching these guys grow. And like I said before, between BlackRock and the Crown
Fidelity, State
Corporation,
Street. Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
they pretty much own the planet as far as official
Well, how does it tie into the
government
Great
kind
Depression?
of
Is that where they
records.
learned how to do all this and perfect it, or
The family has been in charge for 5,000 years. That's something people just can't fathom. 5,000 years. They have been controlling things. They know what works, they know what doesn't. And what common folk have absolutely no concept of,
tell us? No filter. Just hit us with it.
the people who are family are chosen because they hear the extraterrestrials, the Anunnaki. That was the verification why they accepted me as someone to talk to, is because I also hear the Anunnaki. And that's they choose you for your blood type. You have to
RH
be
positive,
R
right?
you have to be Rh negative.
Oh,
They choose you for your IQ. You have
over
to be
40.
over 140, and they choose you for your psychic ability. You have to be able to hear the Anunnaki because this is the Anunnaki's planet. They never completely left. Marduk owns the place. He has passed that, he's delegated that to the old royals. And because most of the Anunnaki have left, the tribes, uh, the tribes that are all descended from these same people,
Infighting.
they're infighting because most of them don't hear the Anunnaki and they think they're just as good as the guys that do.
Tell me this. This might be another topic, but if you could just touch on it. Daniel, your best friend, has done a lot of work with the Greek and talked about this whole real thing. Is that a real thing where these things that live underground have this, they can like pull out their consciousness and then wrap around your eye and take over people's? Is
There
that
is a kind of a being that can enter a person through their eye. I believe it's actually you would call it a worm or a snake rather than someone's consciousness. It's an actual physical being that possesses the body of the person, and it leaves a black eye when it enters.
okay? Is that like what's going on with Nancy Pelosi? I mean,
I don't know who has them, okay? I don't keep track of that. It's just one of those things that you have an awareness of. There are at least 7 other species that are sentient that live underground.
so there's seven. Can you tell me about those?
7. 4 of them are reptilian. One of them eats people.
Tell me about
Um,
that.
they're all different. They were the dominant life form when they figured out that there was a disaster coming, and they went underground to survive it. And when they came back up, there was a new species. And so they just stayed underground. Uh, One of them's Lacertus people. Um, I can share a photo of.
Please.
There was a city or a mound in, I believe it was Iraq, that was
Oh, the Mesopotamia area, like the country of Iraq.
yeah, um, that area, Mesopotamia somewhere. I'm not sure exactly where it was.
Oh, yeah, yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay, so I'm looking for the photos. They found these figurines, and they match exactly the description that is in the interview with the reptilian.
Wait, what you're talking about interview with the reptilian like a note? What do you mean?
It's on YouTube.
There's an interview with the reptilian?
There's an interview with the reptilian.
Okay, I'm gonna add
It
that
was
list shortly
not
after.
recorded. He wrote it down afterwards, and the reptilian edited parts of it out, and the rest of it he read, although I think they have it computer read now. So this is what they look like.
What the hell is that on top of the head?
Hair. They are homegrown descendants of dinosaurs that grew breasts, had
I was about to say that
live
looks crazy.
births, and grew hair on their heads. And that is what Lacerta, the reptilian in the interview, looks like. She described it. Their nose is pointy, they have hair on their heads, they have breasts, they give live birth.
That's going on underground.
That's one of them that's underground. I believe that their entrance to their territory is in Scandinavia. I'm not sure which country.
Fjords. The Greek talked a lot about how what is that Kola super deep hole or something they drilled down to reptilians and that they were out in Antarctica whenever base 211 New Schwabenland and there was some reptilians there too. Would this breast with the hair be this?
I don't know anything about
Okay.
all of that. I
Oh,
have
okay.
never been there. Now, my understanding is that Camp 211 had a Draco base nearby. And when Admiral Byrd showed up, that it was a
Yeah.
Draco ship that cut his ship in half. The Russians reported that, the Americans did not. But yeah, there's a lot of discussion amongst folks who claim to know about whether it was a German Hanabu or if it was a Draco ship that did it. If it was a Hanabu, they had overcome the problem of attaching weapons to a spinning device. That was why they couldn't use the Hanabu in World War II, is because it spins. How do you attach a gun to that? and have it aim at something instead of just spinning
Why do they spin?
because they have to stay afloat.
No, no, no. I understand that. I think they arrest gravity through a torsion sphere or donut or toroidal field. Do you know the basic?
I know the basics is that they take liquid mercury with a bismuth additive. They call it red mercury, and they spin it at high speeds. And if they do it just mercury, the spinning will turn it into gold, which everybody thinks is really cool, except if you're out trying to fly, you drop like a rock.
They
So
Die
they
Glocken, the bell. What?
the Glocke, yeah, it's German. It said German. I have a lot of trouble with people who say it wrong. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
It's
I
a
know
it's
I'm
it's a
ignorant.
it's a pet peeve of mine that they say the Glock, but like it's a silent E. German has no silent letters. They also don't have diphthongs, so they don't have a the sound. So if it's a TH, it's a t. So that was one of the first things I learned first year German in high school. Yes, I took German in high school
You you were fluent in Schwabish. Is that what they say?
in
I remember your old
Schwabish.
your old
I
the
was fluent in Schwabish, but it's a dialect. It's not the same exactly. A lot of the words are the same. The grammar is a little bit different. People who speak true High German, like in Berlin, consider it a hillbilly language. And yet it's what's spoken on the ships in space.
where they still wear their spurs and they talk about the Teutonic Wars.
Yeah, you need to look through German history.
I need to look through a lot. I'm sorry I'm so bogged down right
German
now.
history, there was a group called the Teutonic Knights during the Crusades. You know, the Crusades back in
I'm not
one,
as educated.
1000 AD, where we
Okay,
invaded the Middle East. Europe invaded the Middle East.
tell me, please. Tell me.
And some of the invaders were Germans, and the French and Italians couldn't talk to them. The Knights of St. John were the Italians, the Knights Templar were basically French, and these people were running hospitals for the soldiers that were wounded. And there wasn't anybody for the Germans. Well, they were called Teutonics in those days, not Germans. They weren't
Uh,
even called Deutsche yet. They were Teutonics. And so there was a group that from these German speaking countries that formed an order to have hospitals for the German soldiers that were wounded in this invasion. And they became the Teutonic Knights. And when Europe eventually lost the war and Acre fell, they went to Hungary. The Teutonic Knights did. And they were so vicious that the Emperor of Hungary kicked their asses out.
wow.
And they ended up going to Prussia. Well, Prussia eventually became the main thing of Germany, but in those days, they had something called the Holy Roman Empire, something
HRA.
else you need to look up because it went all the way from the Baltic Sea in the north, all the way through the Alps, down to Sicily, and even into North Africa. This was the Holy Roman Empire. And
Media.
it stood from 700 AD when Charlemagne created it until 1800 AD when Napoleon destroyed it. And that was the reason for both world wars, where the German people were trying to restore the Holy Roman Empire. They were not trying to take over the world. They were trying to restore their former greatness just like America today is trying to restore its former greatness.
Wow. Okay, that's
History
oh,
repeats. Different places,
right.
different languages, but history repeats.
Let's do this. Because
Okay.
no,
We,
no, no. Well, I went off on a tangent, and I appreciate you indulging me. Can we go back to what was the next tab? I'm sorry, Penny.
the next tab was In-Q-Tel, and I really don't know a
Finish what
lot
you tell.
about
No,
them, but
no.
they're just, they do part, oh, you need to see this because they admit to partnering with the CIA. And that was
Ah,
one of the things that you talked about.
well,
This
I
is
don't know. I come to you for.
this is government partners. Para In-Q-Tel's unique approach pairing high-tech problem solvers with government challenges has produced countless impactful solutions for the CIA,
Yep.
Defense Intelligence Agency, FBI, NGA, I don't know what that is, NRO, I don't know what that one is, NSA is
It's above it, huh? Chelsea
national
Average
security.
above it or on it.
DHS, which is Department of Homeland Security, U.S. Cyber Command, the Office of Strategic Capital, which invests for the country, and the UK and Australian national intelligence communities, because we're part of Five Eyes, and Five Eyes is UK, Australia, Canada, the United States, and New Zealand. We recently welcomed the Office of Naval Research, ONR, U.S. Central Command, and U.S. Space Force as new government partners and look forward to supporting their missions too. And they have a Learn More button. Let's take a look. 25 plus years building. Government agencies partner with In-Q-Tel because we identify and invest in companies that give them invaluable early access to cutting edge startup tech and deep insights into over the horizon innovations.
A lot to unpack.
Yeah, that means they have been helping build all of the Black Ops tech that I have talked about since I've been public. Startups partner with IQT because we give them a powerful pathway to engage effectively with the government and build significant businesses. In other words, they're the short path. We do this by educating entrepreneurs and collaborate with, I probably should uh, zoom down. That would help a little bit. IQT's presence in a company's capital is seen as a very positive signal by other investment firms. We carefully select startups with breakthrough technologies and then help them find and develop compelling public sector market opportunities. Interested in partnering with us?
Well, let's just look at the form. Hit here. Let's glance at it.
Okay,
Oh, yeah.
pretty. Submit a business plan. Do you have a
Yeah.
product or technology that can contribute to national
Here's something we
security?
can confiscate and say it's
Yeah,
a risk to national security if we patent
yeah.
it.
If it overlaps more than 80% with what's in the Black Ops, they will offer you the opportunity to go black with them or die. So that's,
Exciting.
oh yes, wonderful shit. Sorry. Okay.
Thanks.
The next one that I have is K Street. I have a couple of them
Yes.
about K Street.
Let's do it.
So this is the Wikipedia. K Street is a major thoroughfare in the United States capital of Washington, D.C., known as a center for lobbying and the location of numerous advocacy groups, law firms, trade associations, and think tanks. In political discourse, K Street has become a, I don't know what
Yep.
metonym means. I would say synonym for lobbying in the United States. The same way Wall Street in New York became a metonym for the US financial markets, since many lobbying firms are or traditionally were located in the section of Northwest Washington, which passes from Georgetown through a portion of downtown Washington, D.C. And it shows a couple of pictures. Um, I've been there. Um, that was the trip where my memories were activated of the Black Ops. And I was there with the agent. He was giving me a tour of Washington, D.C. You can see my face is turning red because I'm stressing.
Wow. Okay.
Um, his invitation had been because I hated DC so much that he wanted to show me what it was about. And he had worked for the AFL-CIO office that's almost across the street from the White House for years. That was his official job that covered for his NSA activities.
They call
Eh,
that dipping.
huh?
They call that sheep dip. You're sheep dipped.
I don't know what that term means, but he was officially in DC doing that, and he would have time that he would go to the base. Can't think of the name of the base. It's in Maryland. But
There's Langley in Virginia, which you were.
I was at Langley, but I freaked out. He was going to take me to that base, and I just completely flipped out. I had a panic attack in his car, and that shocked him. I mean, I had a flat panic attack, and he decided not to go in, which was good because my panic attacks are not fun for me or anyone around me. Um, but looking back on it, that told me that a lot of what I remembered was real because I had panic attacks over going there. Fort Meade, that's where it was, Fort Meade, Maryland. And we went on the National Mall and we went to the outside of the White House and we saw where Congress meets and we saw, uh, the Capitol building. We saw the Supreme Court building, which was being shut down for renovations at the time. And this was during the time frame when the Washington Memorial was being rebuilt after the earthquake. And
That sounds like a staged event.
it was a dumb underground was exploded and the Washington Memorial was damaged in the process. So we went to the Jefferson Memorial. And me being me, I took photos inside the Jefferson Memorial and I stood there and read each section. And people were tourists were taking pictures of me. They thought I was an official docent or something. But I was reading it because I'm something of a Jefferson freak. He's not my direct ancestor, but he and I share
Well, didn't he get rid of the
history.
central banks, their second attempt?
He got rid of the central bank. Washington got rid of the central bank. Um, Andrew Jackson got rid of the central bank. Lincoln got rid of the central bank. Ben Franklin was against the central bank. Do you know what else those folks have in common?
What?
They're all on our money. It's a big fat fuck you from the
Oh,
central bank. Yeah. And it's not a coincidence that Abe Lincoln was shot on April 15th. So, yeah, there's
Oh,
a lot of things about April 15th throughout history. In Roman times, it was a sacrifice day.
Jesus. Okay, well, look, in the last 10 minutes, I want to pull back and just give you free reign. To wrap up
Okay.
this hour, I want to shut up. Just tell me what people need to know in these last 10 minutes, or let's cover what we can. I want to pull back and just,
Okay. The thing about K Street is billions of dollars go through there every day. The agent who took me on that tour said that they actually run the country. K Street does. The lobbyists, the think tanks, the people who actually make the decisions are all there or have their lobbyists. And these people bribe, legally bribe members of Congress, members of the Senate, members of the Supreme Court, even the White House. There are some Congress critters who will not see you unless you are paying them at least $25,000. This is why we never get an improvement for the public, because lobbying is legal bribery. Now that's the biggest thing to take from that. Also, all of these investment companies that we have been talking about are part of K Street. Every single one of them is on K Street. So is the Heritage Foundation.
oh no.
Yeah, all the think tanks. The Jason Society is there. You know, the folks that Eisenhower reached President
Yeah, no,
Eisenhower reached out to because they were so smart. They're a think tank. They have an office on K Street, or they did at one time. These are supposed to be the smartest people on the North American continent. So, um, these are literally the people who write the laws and present them to Congress. They just fill in the blanks on, who's supporting this and how exactly how much money, and that's it. It's already typed up, printed, ready to go with enough copies for staffs and everybody. They are doing this. I'm blowing your mind. You thought we lived in a democracy. We don't
no,
even live in a
I'm not that.
republic.
Look, I'm ignorant, but I'm not that ignorant.
We live in
You're
an
full of a lot.
oligarchy. We live in an oligarchy. The people who have money and have traditionally always had power have learned over the millennia, over 5,000 years, they have learned how to worm their way to the top, how to blackmail people, how to bribe people. This is how everything works in every arena of your life, from politics to how your doctor treats you at the doctor's office.
Like shit.
It's worse if you're female. I have had doctors tell me that they were taught at medical school to never listen to what a woman says.
Uh, okay.
This is part of the diversity thing that you were upset about. I have I had to wait 44 years to have my spinal fusion after my neck was broken because doctors don't listen to women.
Well, let's Penny, watch, hit, pull off the record.